Hey everybody. I know this is a little bit out of order of what we're going to do, but I think we can manage. What we're going to accomplish here at the beginning is we're going to wrap up our conversation from Friday. So obviously we didn't even get done with the top part. So we can look at that, or you guys can look at that obviously in class. And then I'll kind of introduce this part about Confucianism, and you guys should still have the paperwork for that. And then all the answers that you come up with, whether on your own or if you guys have a kind of a shorter discussion in class, all that stuff can go into the notebook. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce what you all will be doing with this Chinese philosophy for partially today, maybe today at the end of class, if you guys get to it, definitely Wednesday, which is kind of the introduction of these two philosophers, one of them being this guy Confucius, and the other being this guy known as Lao Tzu or Lao Tzu. Everybody in the room is going to get one or the other, right? Because they're on a yellow paper or kind of like this purple paper. But I'll get into that here in a little bit once we wrap this up. Okay, so to get back to this again, we talked about the other day what Buddhism was and kind of the main beliefs of it and what was going on at the time. We also said that it became very popular because during the Han Dynasty, a lot of violence, a lot of civil war, a lot of starvation, and the ideas of Buddhism about obviously not worrying about what everyone else has became very popular. So there's multiple answers to that first question, but then we also said for the yellow question here, the second one, you could come up with many different similarities between Christianity and Buddhism. Okay, one of them being obviously that they broke off of another religion to begin with. So we mentioned that Christianity breaks off of Judaism, much like Buddhism breaks off Hinduism. So that could be a similarity. And there are multiple different answers. Now, the part we did not get to is the third question here, and then these questions at the bottom about Confucianism. Okay, now, uh, with this, I'm going to let you guys kind of work on this to your own speed here because I feel like it's much more valuable for you guys to actually read through the rest of the paper, which you all should still have, as opposed to me just throwing the answers out there. So at any point, obviously, this video can be paused or just turned off or however you guys are going to do it. But the big thing right here to wrap up from Friday is why did Buddhism become so unpopular during the Tang Dynasty? So if you look at your own paper, which we again should still have the one that says Buddhism in China, um, there's a whole lot of information about the Tang Dynasty, and it says at the very beginning of the paragraph, early Tang rulers did not practice Buddhism, but they did not interfere with its following in China. So that's how it starts. Okay, they don't really practice Buddhism themselves, but they don't really see it as a problem. What you guys need to do for this question is continue reading on those paragraphs down that column on that page, because eventually some different things are going to happen that are going to make the Tang dynasty very nervous about what Buddhism is going to do or what they believe Buddhism is going to do. So this could be multiple answers. Okay, this could be multiple answers or bullet points to go with that, but make sure you read down to the bottom of that paragraph. Okay, to jump ahead here, for Confucianism, there is obviously on the next page just a about like a two paragraph set at the beginning of the next column. Okay, it says revival of Confucian ideas. So there is an actual person named Confucius who gets brought up at the bottom of Buddhism. Okay, so Confucianism and Buddhism are not necessarily enemies, but in the eyes of some of the government officials, they kind of are. But anyway, my question to you all for this is what is the main belief? All right, now there's a couple different ways you can interpret that, but whatever you think, when you look at the stuff related to Confucianism, either on the bottom of the page or the top of the next column, I want you to come up with what you think is the main belief of Confucianism or what their main focus is. And then this yellow one here says list some of the things you would need to know in order to study for the civil service exam. And that's very straightforward because you guys can see on your paper from Friday, it says the civil service. So if you read through that whole paragraph, again, you can jot down some of the things that somebody would have studied or had to study, and you just kind of go with that. Okay, now, so again, this can take however long it needs to take in class today. Obviously, from where you all were, you needed this question as well as the other two for Confucianism. So definitely we need to take some time in class to do that. Now, what I'll do is I'll preview here this business with Chinese philosophy, because I told you all with this unit, we're going to keep going with a lot of stuff. We have Chinese philosophy, we have things about the Mongols and, Genghis Khan. So we got a lot to talk about. So introing it today, and you guys have every ability to start working on it, but I'll go more in depth on it tomorrow on Wednesday. But we have two schools of thought here. And again, just to start, Chinese philosophy, or any philosophy for that matter, is just the study of different ways of thinking. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but it's kind of thinking about thinking. Okay, so philosophy in this case in China, again, is two different schools of thought, let's call it, because you have the people who kind of come from the Buddhist, or what will later be different parts of Taoism and all these different things, and then you have people who are the Confucianists. Just to again show you, there's two papers here. Everybody gets one of them. Okay, so some of you guys in class are going to get kind of the purple one, just out of random assortment, and some are going to get the yellow one. Just to give you the background, again, Confucius is the guy who's going to start Confucianism, which is mentioned in the end of the last couple paragraphs with the stuff with Buddhism. So I know there's a lot going on. You have the thoughts about Buddhism, and you have Confucianism, and you have this guy Lao Tzu who eventually starts what's known as Taoism, which is where we kind of get the yin yang symbol, if you know what that looks like. But anyway, here's the deal. For each of these philosophers, I picked 8 of their most well-known quotes. So you guys that are going to get the purple paper, this is your 8, and you all that are going to get the yellow, this is your 8. So they're completely different quotes. Okay. What your purpose is, what your actual job is, and this is what your focus is going to be for tomorrow, um, is to get an idea as to what you think these quotes mean. So if you want to say you're explaining the quote, that makes sense. Okay, that's one angle. Or if you're trying to rewrite the quote. Okay, but this is on the back of the paper that you guys are going to receive. It explains what you're doing, but I'm just going to tell you right now. Again, you have the original quote, and what you're trying to do is either rewrite it in a way that makes more sense in today's language, or to simply explain it. Okay. And in some of these cases, you have to maybe look up a word or ask what it means, but there's not too many. Like the word ignorance is one of them that people always run into. With Lao Tzu, there's a lot of things that are literal. So things like about an animal that you might not understand. Okay, or people literally like walking. Seem like, okay, they're just walking. But again, depending on which one you do, you're trying to explain it in more depth. Okay, like I said, for tomorrow, for Wednesday, I'll kind of pit stop on some of these more in-depth ones, so that when you guys try to explain them yourselves, you have a little bit more of a background. But for today, like I said, the overall purpose is to finish these notes. Okay, make sure those are all squared away in the notebook. And then depending on the time that you guys have, okay, because again, with map testing and scheduling stuff and whatever, if you get to the point of starting either the purple or the yellow paper, then you can at least take a look at it. Okay, but I'm going to go more in depth tomorrow. All right. So again, that's it on this for today. You guys make sure the notebook stuff is wrapped up, and then we'll continue this conversation over the next couple of days. All right. So everybody be well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye.